In this lesson, we're going to create our game state. All right, so the game state is what handles the logic of whether the player has won or lost. And so I've already started blocking this out a little bit in the script just to kind of get us going a little bit faster and to give you an idea of how you would block something out like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at our mothership script here. And you can see that on trigger enter, whenever the player collides with their trigger, it's going to check the player inventory and it's going to add any collected energy to the collected energy of the mothership, okay, from the player. Now, if the collected energy of the mothership is equal to the needed energy, then it's going to display you win. Okay, so that's kind of like the win state. Now let's talk about the lose state. This is a little bit more difficult because we have a couple of things that we need to take care of. First thing is we don't know how many energy pieces are on each map. And we want to code things in a way that it's scalable. And so I need to determine how many energy pieces are on a single map. And then I need to take that and reduce the total number of energies that are available and to see if the game is possibly won, okay, if it's even possible. So what does that look like exactly? Well, let's say that the player decides, to run around and they get 9 energy out of 10. And they're trying to make their way to the mothership. And when they get to right before they get to the mothership, the enemy touches them and then takes all 9 away. And now there's only 1 energy left on the map. There's no possible way that the player could win. So we need to check for that. And we need to restart the game if that ever happens. So let's get started with creating that lose state. So the first thing we need to do is find how many energy pieces are on the map. So let's go up to the top here and let's create some new variables. The first variable that I want to create is going to be a public variable, and this is going to be of the type game object because we're looking for how many energy game objects are on the map. And I know that I have multiples, and so I'm going to check for an array. Okay, so I'm creating an array variable that's going to hold all of those game objects in a list. And now I'm going to call that variable name energy. Okay, let's end that with a semicolon. Let's go down one more line here, and we're going to get the total number of energy. And so I'm going to type in public int total energy. And this is actually going to hold the number of items, or the number of items in this array list. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get that. So we're going to go to our start function. Right below this, we're going to type in energy, and we're going to set this equal to GameObject.find GameObjects. Make sure that it is objects, not object, because we're using an array. So GameObjects with tag, and the tag that we're going to use is energy. Okay. Now before we go any further, we need to make sure that that tag is set up. So let's go into Unity, and let's select one of our energy pieces. Actually, let's go ahead and just select the one in the prefabs folder. And you'll see the tag is set to untagged. Let's click on that, and you'll notice in this list we don't see anything that says energy. So we'll need to add a tag. So to add a tag, we'll go ahead and click on that, and it will bring us to the tags and layers in the inspector. Let's expand tags and then add one to the list. So this is now going to be called energy. Hit enter. And then now you need to go back to your energy in the project browser and change from tag or untagged to energy. Now all of the objects in the scene should have that same tag. Perfect. So now what we can do is go back to our script, and we know that it's going to find that. And so what this is going to do is it's going to find all of those objects with the tag energy, and it's going to add those to an array list. So however many are on the board, it's going to list those out. So it will be, I believe, 11 are on the map right now. And so now we need to set total energy to that number that's in the list. So the total number of objects in that list. So we're going to say total energy equals energy. Okay, so we're using this variable name, energy dot length. And that's it. All right, so now that we have that, I want to go ahead and start to create a little bit more of a dynamic feel to this. I want to add a difficulty percentage. And so we want to base how many energies we actually need on a percentage. And so this number could actually be changed in like a main menu or something like that. So if the player chooses easy, we can have the percentage of energies that need to be collected on each map 25%. If they choose medium, it'll be 50%. If they choose hard, they need to collect every single energy, so it will be 1.0 or 100%. So let's go ahead and say needed energy. We're going to take off the equals 10, and then in my start function, I'm actually going to say needed energy equals math f dot round to int. Okay, and what this is going to do is if our number comes out to be a float value, so it's, let's say 5.5, we want it to just round up to 6. So I'm going to say round to int, and I'm going to say total energy multiplied by difficulty percentage. Now I don't have this variable, so let's go ahead and create that. Let's put it right down below this. We're going to say public float difficulty percentage, and we'll leave that with no default value. Actually, we'll add a default value to that. Let's go ahead and do equals 0.5f. Okay, just like a normal value. And then we're going to type in difficulty percentage. This should show up. There it is. And then that's all we need for that. So now we've set that up. Now we need to check to see if there is enough energy. Okay, so now we're going to build the logic. So this could happen at any point in the game. The enemy could come up and touch the player at any point. And so we want to put this logic in the update function. So I'm going to type in void update. Now the update function is going to run every single frame that the game is running. And so if you put anything in here, it's going to run every single frame. Just be aware of that. So we're going to say if total energy is less than needed energy, we're going to just simply print out a message for right now. We're going to say print game over. Okay, make sure that's in quotations and then also in parentheses, and then end with a semicolon. So let's hit Control S to save that. And right now, let's go ahead and, well, we'll just leave the script just the way it is. Now, there's one other issue that we have here. We don't have anything actually taking away from the total number of energy that's being collected. The energy pickup, as you can see, all that's being added to this is it's being added to the player inventory, but nothing is being taken away. The enemy itself is the only thing that can take away from the board itself. So the player can pick up the energy. Anything that's in the player's inventory is still counted toward the total number on the board that is still playable. The energy that's actually on the map is still playable. So we only need to worry about reducing the total number of energy is if the enemy catches the player. So this is done with a single line of code. Right here in the onTriggerEnter function, if the enemy collides or enters the player's space, what will happen is it's going to take the player inventory, or actually the total energy. So we're going to say mothership dot total energy, and we're going to subtract that from itself, or we're going to subtract from the total energy minus the player inventory dot collected. So we're going to do minus equals, and we're going to say player inventory dot collected energy. So anything that the player has collected, if the enemy touches him, is going to take that from the total number that the board has, and then it's also going to reduce the collected energy that the player has down to 0. Let's hit Control S. Let's go to Unity. Let's hit play, and let's just give this a quick test. So the way it should work right now is if I touch one of these energy pieces, let's go ahead and grab the mothership to see this. If I touch one of these energy pieces, the total energy should stay at 11. So you can see that that's staying. There's our difficulty percentage. You can see the needed energy is set to 6. So 11 or 50% of 11 is 5.5, but it rounds up to the nearest integer, which is 6. And so now if I come in and I collect from the mothership, it's going to add 2 to that. We know that that works, so let's let the enemy touch us. And you'll watch this go down to 9. So it took however many we had and reduced that down. So now that we have that functionality working, let's actually show the player how many energies they've collected, and then let's show them if the enemy touches them that it's going to take it away as well. So we'll get started with that in our next lesson.